Now, you said Lawler ran parts of the Memphis territory in those days. Did you actually work for him in those days?
Yeah, he was the booker. I mean, he was booking sometimes, and I was there. Jerry Jarrett always seemed to take care of me a lot better than my cousin did, as far as booking and things of that nature. It's like when I first started, started in Memphis, Jerry would have me booked, Jerry Lawler that is, would have me booked like 2 nights. One in Louisville was a 500-mile drive. The next night, he went out and had me booked again till Saturday night in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Well, I couldn't ride with anyone because they would go from Memphis, leave on a Tuesday morning, drive to Louisville, and 4 of them guys in the car, and then the next night they would be in Evansville, Indiana, and then on a Thursday night they might be in a spot show somewhere in Hopkinsville, Kentucky on the way back, and then Friday night they'd be in Tupelo, and then Saturday night back in Jonesboro. So he would book me like so far away from each, and I couldn't ride with these guys. So I said to him once, I said, "Gosh, Jerry, I need a few more bookings." He said, "What if you buy more outfits?" Because I would go out, fans don't understand this, and we only had like 6 or 8 people on the card. The big shows had 8 people. The small towns had 6, So I'd go out and wrestle as Wayne Ferris, as myself in the first match, do it 20 minutes, and either win or lose to some guy that we were coming back in a tag match. I'd go get changed, dressed in a complete bodysuit, and be the Masked Marvel or the intern or the medic or whatever the name might have been, the Red Shadow. If I had a red outfit, red mask, I was a Red Shadow. Bring your so-and-so, bring your medic mask and white suit for Tupelo or what. So I would go then and work the 3rd match as a bad guy, lose to one of the good guys, go back, change back into Wayne Ferris, and work the 2 out of 3, and we'd go 3 falls, 60-minute time limit in the last match.
And you were only getting paid the same?
I only got paid for one time, yeah. It was 20, 25. If it was a decent house, we'd get $30.
So would you say in those days you and Lawler were still on fairly good terms? There was obviously a little possible jealousy on his part that another member of the family was in the territory, but
that I read later. I read an interview from Jerry Jarrett that he did several years ago, and he mentioned that Jerry Lawler never really liked young guys breaking into the business. Well, at one time he was a young guy, and he's only 3 years older than me, or 3 or 4 years older. So I mean, he wasn't that old of a guy to say young guys shouldn't be around the business. But yet he broke his own sons into the business. One was a wrestler, Brian Christopher. The other one was a referee. Kevin Christian was his name. Both great kids and very good talents. Jerry's a great talent. Did he not want to see me succeed? I think because he wasn't instrumental in my, with Herb Welch training me, because he was never a fan of the Welches at all. He thought Memphis belonged to him and a couple of the other towns that the Welches owned. And he eventually ended up getting those towns, which, gosh. And then after the Tupelo concession stand thing, I think he had a little bit more of a professional, what would you call it, ethics or courtesy toward me. He showed a little bit more professionalism.
And were you around during the whole big Andy Kaufman angle?
No, I think I was in Puerto Rico at that time. I was either in Puerto Rico or I was in Knoxville working for Jack Mulligan.
What did you think of it being originally from that territory to have a big superstar at the time like Andy Kaufman jumping into the wrestling business?
Well, Lawler always had these super characters. He'd had a guy dress up like Darth Vader. He had Frankenstein. He had the Mummy. He had the Freddy Krueger one. Lawler was a comic book. He loved comic books and comic book heroes, and he loved comedians. And even now, I think he still carries his joke book in his pocket, studies his one-liners, so that when he goes on TV, he can say those quick one-liners. But when the Andy Kaufman thing, I'd known Andy Kaufman was going around trying to wrestle women because I'd seen some late-night television shows where Andy Kaufman had been on there and had challenged women and had gotten in the ring with some of them a couple of times. So but he could never get the New York office. And then he went to Atlanta, and Jim Barnett and of course Ole Anderson, Ole, one of these hardcore guys that believed wrestling is real. I mean, wrestling is wrestling, and we have to be men. We don't wrestle women. So he was turned down there, and he pitched it. Then one of the magazine writers called Lawler and said, look, this guy's, you know, he's a big time. And Lawler said, yeah, heck yeah. So against Jerry Jarrett's wishes, Lawler went ahead and booked it anyway. Jerry Jarrett didn't really want to do it either, because Jerry was from that old school, and he didn't want the old NWA or the AWA, who he might have been partners with, to go, hey, we're going to kick you guys out of the organization. We don't wrestle women. So anyway, they did it. And heck, it was a turning point in history.